The vast majority of us live in asphalt environments created to suit us, surrounded by packaged nature. Often all we know of the natural world is reduced to spaces prepared for our enjoyment or through the web, video games or movies. There is a disconnection with nature. Due to our lifestyles, forests have been savagely deforested for decades. They have often been replaced by plantations that do not comply with the natural cycles that are so necessary for ecosystems. Today, the forests are slowly beginning to recover. These are the first steps in a race with the goal far away on the horizon. We have only begun to stop the destruction. This improvement must be reinforced. It must be extended. We may not be aware of it, but even those of us who live in big cities depend on the health of the forests. And today, we come to tell you their story.
Without forests, the air becomes poorer, global warming increases, desertification progresses, and water cycles are disrupted. All this leads to economic and environmental instability. Trees have always been a necessary part of our development. Ships, houses, furniture, paper, fuel, space for agriculture, urbanization, mining. The Roman era is responsible for a lot of deforestation in the Mediterranean era. In the Middle Ages, by the year 1000, Britain was heavily deforested, and by 1500, Western Europe was suffering from malnutrition due to a lack of game and wood for cooking and heating. There were hardly any large forests left. But the worst was yet to come. In the 19th century, and especially in the 20th century, deforestation was extreme on a global scale. The jungles and forests, rich in biodiversity, were ruthlessly plundered and converted into orchards for the West and emerging countries.
The roots penetrate deeply into the soil, holding it to the rock. Their leafy canopies protect the soil from solar radiation and heavy rain. If there are no trees, this land becomes unusable for both animals and humans. That is how important trees and forests are for the land. Soil provides nutrients for plants and microorganisms. It is involved in the balance of the ecosystem. It acts as a filter and absorber for substances, protecting the subsoil and groundwaters. And something that is not widely known, soil is easily destroyed, but it takes many years to regenerate, thousands in some cases. The Earth's soils have been suffering degradation from decades, and the main responsibility lies with humans. Over-farming, logging, or chemical pollution from heavy metals, herbicides, insecticides, fungicides, and fertilizers are responsible. They have been key to rapid industrial growth, but have destroyed huge amounts of fertile soil. They also affect water, biodiversity, and the health of the people around these areas. In the future, some of these gases will be closed forever, like those animals that today we only see in black and white. The loss of biodiversity is one of the main things that happen when forests die. Today, of all known living species, 12% are in danger of permanent extinction. For sure, you will be familiar with the reasons: climate change, pollution, habitat destruction, overexploitation, and uncontrolled hunting are some examples. There are extinct species which will never be recovered, as well as introduced species that do not belong to that environment and directly affect ecosystems and humans. Like the rabbit plague in Australia, it hit the continent from 1859 onwards. It all started with a single batch of 24 animals. In the 21st century, its consequences are still being felt. The Asian hornet, the tiger mosquito, the pond slider, the American bullfrog, the bog parakeet, the raccoon, the American mink, the red swamp crayfish, the common carp, the catfish, and others. These species have been brought to new habitats artificially. We have brought them here to enjoy ourselves. It is incredible how such a superficial reason can have such harmful consequences. As we can see in all this problem, there is a common denominator: humanity. We are the problem, but we are also part of the solution. There are many things that are already being improved, and for sure, will continue to improve. That's what the Sustainable Development Goals were created for, to promote a different mentality, another way of doing things. As you can imagine, many people have been engaged in this battle for many years. Diverse projects in all fronts that are helping to bring this madness slowly to a halt. People like Constantino Aucachutas, who has spent the last 30 years leading local communities to protect the forests of South America. Purnima Devi Barman, who along with 10,000 other women is fighting to save the greater adjutant, the second rarest stork species in the world. Sheila Watt Cloutier, who gives voice to the effects of climate change in Inuit societies. Suhat Azanud, a well-known pioneer of agroecology. There are many more examples. The challenges are global, and it is in the hands of the most important institutions and organizations to take the initiative. It is up to us to demand it. We must actively reforest, preserve the forests, and avoid and prevent destructive actions such as fire, large infrastructures like ski tracks in particularly sensitive areas, enrich soils, plant weeds and resistant species to counteract desertification and droughts, implement sensible methods for agriculture, focusing on the future and not only on present yields, improve chemical storage by avoiding leaks. Illegal hunting must continue to be combated, and work must be done to control invasive species. Everything is related, and everything that is done will positively affect other areas. What can I do? Well, a lot. We could focus on responsible consumption. Everything is connected to the environment and consequently to the forests. Consume less wood, buying only the furniture we need, and repairing those that break instead of simply replacing them. Use them until the end of their days. Use less paper. This issue has improved a lot, but too much paper is still being used unnecessarily. If you decide to have pets, treat them well and don't abandon them, whether they are exotic or not. But if they are also exotic, be aware of the damage they can do. And if your commitment is great and you feel like doing something more, you can always collaborate with organizations to help in a more active way so that our forests are preserved and, why not, flourish and expand. Once again,